My goal is to go number one. I think I'm going to thrive anywhere I go. So hopefully they let me go out there and do it the same thing I did at Colorado, go out and get on the field and dominate. So my thing is I want to play both sides of the ball. But, if that's not what they see, if that's not their vision and they want me to earn a other position, I'm willing to do that.
What's an area of your game at corner and receiver that you could go, I could get a little bit better at?
First thing is I'll probably say tackling. I can get better at tackling. There's bigger guys in the NFL, so I got to definitely bring my tackling up. And on the receiving end, technique can always be better. Coming out the top of the routes, coming out of the breaks, and make sure I'm getting my depth every time.
Okay, Travis Hunter, number one on your big board, Connor.
Yeah.
Generational prospect. You've mocked him second to Cleveland. We're going to talk at the end of the show about the odds of where Hunter is going to go. Where do you stand on what his usage will ultimately be?
Well, it depends, obviously, ultimately what the team wants to do. I think he can be just as good at wide receiver as he is corner. I think he's the best corner in this draft. I think if you ranked him as a wide receiver, there's an easy argument to say he would be the top receiver. But I'm not of belief he could do both full time at the next level. I would be blown away. It's the team meetings, it's the preparation, I think he could play corner full time and have a package of plays at wide receiver. It's hard to do the opposite.
To me, that's the thing that makes the most sense.
But then for us with fantasy, good luck figuring that out, just saying right now. But I think he's the best player in the draft, clear as day. And I think you can make that argument whatever position you want him to play. But I really do think he's dug in that he wants to do both full time. I have no idea where that's going to go with the team once they take him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think to me it seems like it is easier, and I'm using that in quotes, right? But I think it is probably easier to be a wide receiver than a corner in the NFL. Again, both are all extremely very hard. But to your point, but you're right. But to your point, it's going to be easier to have him be a full-time corner or have him in a lot of packages as a corner, and then there's a set package for him as a receiver versus you're going to play 70% of the snaps at wide receiver, and then we're going to use you as a nickel. You're not going to do that, right? Right.
No.
You can't use him it just feels like it's harder to do just a quote defensive package where you want him in. Feels like where he can make the most difference is defensively, even though he's brilliant as a wide receiver as well.
I think it'll be about, so the first thing I say is I'm not going to doubt him. I think he can do both, but it's about team need, right? And like you guys say, more often than not, you need a DB more than you need a wide receiver. He could end up on a team where they already have an established number one wide receiver. Therefore, it'll make it easier for him to play receiver when he does do that. So if he does play, let's say, 30-ish snaps, whereas in college he was playing 60 offensive snaps. If he cuts that in half, you could actually see more production, see him be more effective as a receiver if you just cut the snaps in half.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
Well, I was saying we heard from Kevin Stefanski, two-time Coach of the Year. He won the award twice, Matthew, not once, on the debate of where to play Travis Hunter.
That's helpful to know.
He's a football player for sure. I think our offensive coaches want him to be a offensive player. Our defensive coaches want him to be a defensive player. So we'll talk through those type of things in this spring. I think every building is going to talk through those type of things, but he's a football player. Chuck Bednarik of the modern era.
If you took Travis, would there be some way where you guys would probably try to use him on something else?
I think that's certainly what most teams would be thinking with a player of his caliber.
That's two-time Coach of the Year. It's Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
Sad
we didn't get a chance to interview Kevin O'Connell again.
Yes.
Tell him commiserations for Dan Campbell's Coach of the Year victory.
Let's be clear. Dan Quinn should have been Coach of the Year.
Well,
but at any rate, for fantasy-wise, again, the other thing to think about here is, I think there will be a lot made about, he's going to play defense, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's not going to play a full complement of snaps on offense. But that doesn't totally matter. Because it's about what happened. I don't think they're just going to have him out there as a decoy.
No.
So the snaps that he'll be out there, if he plays 30 snaps a game on offense, right, or 25, he's not going to be out there blocking or just running wind sprints. They'll have a package of plays where he'll be the first read, where they will try to get the ball in his hands, given how dynamic he is. And I think about prior to last year, think about again, different player, obviously, but think about Rashid Shaheed, who was fantasy productive, but not on a ton of snaps. But when he was out there, he earned targets at a high rate, and that's what I think will happen, that even on, is Travis Hunter going to be a number 1 or even number 2 fantasy wide receiver? Probably not. But is he wide receiver 3? Is he a flex? Is he somebody that, especially during bye weeks? Because I do think that they will try to, when he's out there, they will be snaps that he's going to be involved in the play.
Yeah, with what you were saying, Lawrence, earlier about how the fact that he will play, reduced snaps relative to what he did in college, and that will make him even better. I think his comparison in American sport is Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
And when he took pitching away from Shohei this year, what did he do? He's like, I'm going to become the first player in MLB history to go 50-50. And I think that logically with Sanders as well, with Hunter as well, just the amount that he was playing was just so absurd, and you could tell that as freakish an athlete as he was, just has to take something out of you if you're not coming off the field.
I agree. If they put him in one position, he'll be elite at whatever they choose. It's just really the fine balance of how they do both.
Right, and you heard the player, you heard the interview, right, in terms of he wants to play both ways, and when you draft a player like that, you sort of, to quote Cam Newton, right? You got to let the lion roar, right? I mean, you don't. That's one of the things, that desire, that passion, that I can do this, I can play both sides. That's part of what makes him special, and so you don't want to you don't want to use a top 3 pick on a kid of his caliber and be like, oh, yeah, never mind.
Right,
that thing you desperately want to do, the thing that makes you special, don't do that.
I mean, it's just crazy that what we talk about, how we talk about it, right? Because he's probably going to end up playing more corner, right? But he won the Bolitnikoff Award for the best receiver in college. That just shows how great of an athlete he is. So it'll be interesting to see. And like you said, Matthew, you don't have to play a lot of snaps. We start guys in fantasy who play 30 offensive plays. And when you're talking about a guy like Travis Hunter, who scored plenty of times on plays like screens and just getting him the ball in the short part of the field and taking it the distance, he's definitely going to be on the radar.
Yep. I hear Matthew use the same Cam Newton line to Lawrence last night when you were justifying your fries purchase at 2:30 a.m. The large fries. You got to let the lion roar, baby.
Got to let the lion roar.
The lion
Damn
roar.
right.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.